Yo, so I just want to point out this is therapy for us all. Like week in, week out. We look forward to it. Listen,
Fellas,
it's
it's
just
gonna be one of them nights.
it's going to be, I'm telling you. What's up? What's up? What's up, man? Another Tuesday night at 9, man. Prototype Dad in the building. I would have a bomb for you about a whole new little soundboard, but as y'all see, not working correctly. So either I got to play with it or send it back, do something with it. You know what I'm saying? But it's good to see y'all, fellas, man. It's been an interesting 2 weeks, had I said the least, man. I don't know about for y'all, but at least for me, um, man, we'll go into more details about it as we go on. But man,
Big Elon.
Elon, I don't know nothing about going on with Elon because I've been dealing with my own problems for real. So maybe y'all can enlighten
Big
me on what Elon's been doing. Like I'm not in social media right now, real hard, just because I'm going through all these transitions. But at the same time, I don't know. Update me. What you got, Mo? What kind of news you got?
So the biggest thing that has come across my desk and kind of been in my purview is Doge. I initially I was like, this didn't really concern me, but it started to concern me as they were changing up how federal workers were um coming to work, what they're doing, that type of stuff, and it started to bleed into kind of the private sector a little bit. Folks are talking about coming in, hey, if they can do it, you can do it. They start bringing us back into the office 4 times a week with memos, and I'm like, oh man, this is big Elon. Wow, like yo, like he's affected some stuff, man. Give me 5 bullet points of what you accomplished last week, and if not, if I don't get it by Monday at
Hey,
whatever
it sounds like
time, I
everybody's
consider
on the
that
pip.
resignation. Yeah, like, hey, it's getting real out here. Look,
Yo,
I've noticed that folks is on their best behavior. Like, don't nobody want to be looking for a job out here. Like when you start hearing that, I'm like, oh, folks are scared.
yeah, yeah.
Don't
No, I
nobody
could
want to be looking for
definitely,
a job right now. I'm like, oh,
I
he's
could definitely
scared.
attest to that. Losing an opportunity, losing a job, and able to get another one within a 2 week period has been quite stressful. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, mental health wise, like where my mind has gone has been absolutely nuts. I know we're digging into mental health today, a little bit of racism as well, and some other stuff. But what you got, Lee? What's going on in your world?
Oh man, same old stuff, man. Changes, transitions. Life is life. Got a kid about to go off to college soon, and got a kid about to start pre-K. So, I'm at both ends of the spectrum. So sleep varies, but it is what it is, man. Taking it in stride.
I would think your sleep. You don't got no newborn. I think your sleep would have settled in by now.
Nah, so it's weird. So we finally got him to sleep in his own room, but he don't always stay there throughout the night. So he gets up and ventures and climbs in the bed and plays you know karate in his sleep and got people all up. So it's just it just depends, man. Sometimes it's just a weird thing, where he'll just get up in the middle of the night, come in the room, and now he's climbing in the bed, and now what I mean, he just wrecking his sleep. So
Um, Shoot for me. Like I said, you call it Big Elon. I don't know if it's Elon or if it's Trump. Somebody cut my budget from my last opportunity, and yeah, they was like, "Hey, ran out of funds for you. Unfortunately, we're going to have to let you go." Instantly put me in a frenzy, man. I have a lot of new commitments. So with those new commitments, I'm like, this is a wrong time to be switching any opportunities. Fortunately, by the skin of the teeth, I can't say I got the skills, but I mean, I guess I have this. I have a valuable skill set to be able to make a jump back effectively without really experiencing any of the bleeding. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing about being in tech that I really appreciate. But I mean, I know you guys. I mean, when we first started the show, how I was talking about the emotional journey I was going on, and when I found out, like I went to a therapist or a psychologist, or I don't whoever assigns you meds, and they prescribed me these meds based off of my roller coaster of emotions on how I take things. Like, I don't show the emotion of roller coaster. Like you wouldn't never tell I'm a duck in a pond, but at the same time, I'm a duck in a pond, right? And I think a lot of us are. But when you pull back the veil, the therapist or psychologist or the doctor was like, "Oh, you got severe amount of depression, anxiety, like on top of ADHD, like what I'm saying, like mad stuff." And I was just like, "Well, dang, I wouldn't have thought I had any of the other stuff. I was just coming to you to see if I wasn't crazy." And she answered the question like, "No, you crazier than you thought you was crazy." Like, you know what I'm saying? So, man, I guess I'll start out with you, Mo, since Leifer was the last one to kind of speak. How do you prioritize your mental health and your emotional? How do you put it first? Where do you prioritize it, and how do you manage it?
Initially, and I'll say for 40 probably plus years of my life, I was more about surviving, more than so I always put it in the back burner. And the biggest thing I can say is the best slash worst time that ever happened to me was during COVID. Man, it gave me time to kind of stop, reflect, and kind of understand. In business they call it stop, start, repeat. Stop, start, continue, I believe. And I kind of just assessed my life or whatever, and I was kind of going through and kind of understanding what I had going on and what was important to me and stuff like that. And through that, man, like I kind of got a better work-life balance and stuff like that. And I started to kind of realize, like, man, there's a lot of stuff that I haven't been dealing with health-wise, whether it be physically or mentally. So to that extent, man, like, how you were talking about, like depression, like, man, like personally, like I believe, like, and I haven't been necessarily diagnosed in this, but like a lot of the stuff that I saw and went through as a kid, man, like it's not normal. Even though you're like, oh, well, I know a bunch of people that, went through it, but like, it's still not normal. And like, I don't know, maybe I guess it's been about a year or so now, man. Like it hasn't been like in this little year since my pops passed. Like I noticed I'm like more like sentimental about things. Like, and that's not who I am at all. Like usually I'm like, move on. But like I know, like, because yesterday was his birthday, like I felt myself being down. I was like, why am I feel like this? And then when my sister hit me up and was like, yeah, and I was like, oh, okay. So I think my normal to kind of suppress stuff, but what I've been trying to do is trying to at least acknowledge those things, to try to deal with it head on. But I definitely feel that I'm getting better at it, but it needs more work, man, because holistically, if we talking about mental health wise, if I had to say like smooth, if I had to say like where I was on a scale of 1 to 10, being transparent and honest, man, I'm probably at like a 6 right now, man. Just, through one of the things that I was thinking about, obviously I was talking about my dad passing, but through that, I was thinking about kind of stuff that I've seen and stuff that I went through. And I was like, yo, is this like, I remember I woke up like real late and I'll look for the definition of PTSD. And I was like, do I have PTSD? Like, and maybe I do. So I just was kind of thinking about like some of the stuff that I've gone through that isn't normal. And I was like, yo, this ain't normal. Like I remember I was even telling Vic, I told Vic a story about something that happened to me when I was in 4th grade that I never even thought about until at this age of 42. You know what I mean? Like all these years, I never even thought about it. And then like for whatever reason, it was front and center in my mind. So I'm trying to be more mindful, and I'm trying to be more present in trying to deal with those types of things. One, because health wise, I want to be around. And two, man, I just like, I'm trying to illustrate what I want my daughter to be. And I'm like, man, if I'm suppressing those things and I'm not addressing it, how can she do it if I'm not modeling it for her? So that's where I am. But man, God willing, man, I'll come through on the other side and be better because of it.
What's up, Smooth? Welcome back, brother.
Fellas, what's happening? What's happening, man?
You know what I'm saying? Good for you to drop in,
What
my
up,
guy.
though?
Yeah,
man.
What you got, Leifer? How do you prioritize your mental health and your emotional health? You can add both in.
Lately, and when I say lately, as of the past year and a half, man, I've been super prioritizing my health, my mental health, man. I've been in all kind of therapy, and you know what I mean, just for a while I was going weekly, you know what I mean? For a while I was going weekly, and just trying to get stuff off my chest, trying to understand certain things going on in my life, trying to figure out what my triggers were and what things that I was reacting to, and you know what I mean, what things might have been causing some stuff that I really wasn't aware of, but I was reacting to it in different situations, man. And so I've been prioritizing it a lot now, as I continue to get older, because like Mo was saying, and I think I heard it from somebody somewhere that they were saying, man, they talk about you know, uh, um, war veterans and things like that with PTSD, but like, and not to equate the black community with war veterans, but literally it's a war going on every single day. You know what I mean? And there's a level of PTSD in a lot of the black community, and you know, there should be some help there. You know what I mean? With getting through the mental processes of just life sometimes, man, and and feeling that, and that should be a priority. I've been seeing a lot of companies, they've been prioritizing mental health to the point where the insurance companies will help pay you know uh, for counseling and things like that. So I've been definitely prioritizing it a lot now. Um, and trying to also, like Mo was saying, like deal with it and not suppress it, because I think coming up, we were unknowingly suppressing things because we just didn't know, like everybody that we knew was going through something worse than us, so it was like, you know what I mean, how am I going to sit over here complaining about my situation where I got it 10 times better than this person over here? So we didn't really address it. We kind of just moved on because you felt soft if you was like, you know worrying about your problems, and somebody who lived right next to you was going through worse. So I think I've been trying to just talk it out. If I notice something isn't right, I try to just talk it out and try to deal with it in one way or another, rather than suppress it and allow itself to manifest in other ways.
What you got, Smooth?
What was the question again?
How have you prioritized your mental and your emotional health?
Yeah. I haven't. I think that's why I'm going through so much stuff right now. I'm trying to take care of too many people around me, man. And it's times I do try to focus on myself, it ain't good, man. I'm dealing with a lot, man. Still trying to get my health back together. You know, still dealing with my dad passing and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Trying to take my mind off things I got to do. I've been trying to help other people. One of my homies, his girlfriend passed, and he asked me, he said, man, you ain't even mourning for your brother or your father, man, or your health, man, but you checking on me every day. And the days that I do try to focus on me, man, it'd be a sad situation, man. I used to be at work, man, trying to hide, man, because I just be crying, dog. I couldn't stop the tears from flowing, man. I stopped drinking for a minute, and that alcohol was suppressing a lot of emotions, man. And the days I wouldn't drink, man, that tears would be falling, man. thoughts running crazy. I don't know, though. You know what I'm saying? I need to be around more. I need to stop trying to. How can I say this, man? I need to stop trying to be busy so I don't get caught up, and I need to be around people so I can talk and let this stuff out. You know what I'm saying? And get through it. Because I know in a minute, dog, I'm a mess, dog, mentally right now. And in a minute, it's gonna blow the fuck up, dog. It's gonna be something ugly, and that's what I'm scared of. And I know it's gonna happen, so I know I need to try to jump in front of that and try to take care of that, man.
Stop being busy is so scary when you know you're like the moment you're not busy, everything will just fall out. It's like it's almost safer to stay busy. I'm speaking from my own perspective, right? If I'm not busy and you really got to sit there in smell your own ish, right? It's so like what do you do at that point? I mean, I know you try to face it, start shoveling stuff out, but I don't know. When you said that, it just made it sound scary for me. I try to stay busy is my way of handling all my trauma, right? And it's kind of like I'm always on a tightrope, and the trick is not to ever look down. You know what I'm saying? So as long as I can stay happy, positive, and man, the sky is really blue. Like, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not looking down because I'm over this canyon trying to walk over it, man. And it's kind of crazy that like in the past 2 weeks, not to say my problem is bigger, like Leifer said, like my problem isn't bigger than anybody else's or smaller, but to think about like to go from like suicidal thoughts to man, everything is great is like it's such a trigger. And that's one of the things that the psychologist was like, just because something happened to you shouldn't think about dying. You know what I'm saying? But on the flip side, so here's kind of what I want to ask. Is black normal different from other normals?
No, I mean to us because we go through it. But hold on, let me touch on something you just said about go from suicidal to everything is great. I went through that depression and kind of suicidal in 2023, right? I came out of it. In my mind, everything was great. All of a sudden, I got diagnosed with cancer and my daddy died. I'm like, damn, I thought things was getting better. You know what I'm saying? Now, how I'm supposed to deal with this now? You know what I'm saying? Dog, this shit, man. But to answer your question, I don't think I will. What was the question? Was we normal?
Yeah, is black normal the same as everybody else's normal?
I mean, to us, because we've been dealing with it for so long. But I don't think they see things the way we do it. I remember I have a black male doctor now as my primary care. I used to go to a white female, and she diagnosed me having anxiety. And she asked me, Mr. Johnson, well, why do you feel the way you feel? And I told her, man, the way you feel as a white woman, I feel the exact opposite as a black man. And she thought that was funny, but I was dead damn serious. You know what I'm saying? I deal with a lot of stuff, man. What you doing, boy?
What you got, Mo?
So is black normal the same as everybody else's normal? In this country, no, it's not. As much as, and I'm the biggest proponent of, man, like a lot of our issues aren't necessarily racial, it's more socioeconomic and moral. But when it comes to that, yeah, it's not normal because of the perception and of the dominant society on us. And I see it every day. Like as somebody who actually works in HR, I see it every day. And you like we're supposed to be the people that be like, yo, that's an inequity right there. And like we have it in our own like department. And I'll be like, yo, this is wild. Like, and to see it, And like I've seen this before. I've been doing this corporate America thing for 20 years, but I think this time around it's so different because I don't need it. Like every day I'm in the office, I'm almost like, yo, I could walk away and because I don't need it. But I'm like, yo, do I really want to do this? Because I see the inequities and I see being graded on a curve, if that makes sense. Like, you know what I mean? Like for example, if you do something, if you know, kind of the normal person does something, they have they go into it with best intentions, versus when they come up to grade your paper, they got the red pen out. And I see that, and not necessarily for myself, but I see it for Black people. And I'll be like, golly, like why is it that way? Because there's just, you know, we bring our bias with us into the workplace and into our, you know, into our perspective. And sometimes, man, it becomes a lot to bear. And for me personally, man, I've been told this before, I'm an empath. Like people that can't fight for themselves, I'm like, oh, okay, nah, like I might tease somebody, but I ain't never gonna tease the person that can't fight back. You know what I mean? So I'm always that. And when I see it, I'll be like, nah, we ain't doing that with them. Like, so that's the biggest thing that I definitely noticed that no, Black normal in this country is not normal. Because man, we always like shoot, we all got money. We all still have a very, and I actually had it yesterday. I was coming home from the office. I had a very, almost like a panic attack when I saw a state trooper get behind me. And I was like, man, I ain't get, like, I'm moving like I got something in the car. Like there was, you know what I mean? Like I'm 10 and 2 and it's not that serious, but it's PTSD or it's just stuff from previous encounters that made me feel away. Like I knew I was going the right speed limit, everything, but I totally had almost an anxiety attack when them lights went on. I was like, oh, and he went right past me, and I was like, but why should I feel like that? Because our normal isn't everybody else's normal. That's why.
What you got, Lee?
So I talk about not specifically a Black normal being different, but just they're not really, like, to me there's not really a normal is based off of, you know, off of your surroundings. So your surroundings creates your sense of, you know, normalcy. And with that being said, I think there are different states of normal in a lot of Black communities, man. I mean, there's different levels of trauma, but that then is, like, I think like that, but then it's not even just in some Black communities, man. There's some real poor white communities where they're dealing with similar levels of in normalcy, I guess, in normalcy there that may not be the same, but may be comparable in some ways. So I just think, man, there's no universal idea of normal to me. There may be a baseline standard that some people want to go by, but I don't think that there is a real normal standard. Is what you created. But I will say that, man, I mean, the things that were normal for us growing up, like, I look at it now and I'm like, man, you know, like, yeah, that wasn't normal. I mean, but like growing up, it seemed extremely normal. Like this is a regular Tuesday. You know what I mean? This is a normal occurrence. You know, this is something that you're just used to seeing on a regular basis. And yeah, man. Now looking at it, I ask myself these questions, like when it comes to my kids, like how would I feel like if my kids, you know, had to see the things that I see, or if they had to go through some of the things that I went through, or if they had to deal with some of the things that I had to deal with back then, would I, at this age, at this point in my lifetime, call it normal? And I would have to say, no, I wouldn't call it normal. So in that regard, I think there is a different set of normal, like most was saying or alluding to that socioeconomic piece. But then even to go further, man, there's a level that we as, you know, Black Americans go beyond there, that we have to deal with certain things that, you know, man, and he said, you know, the state trooper pulled up behind him, and you know, he was in there about to clutch his pearls. You know, that's something that resonates, man. Because there's times where there's dang near stuff happening to me, and I don't even want to call the police. Like they're the last people I want to call. Like I want to call a couple of my cousins up. I want to call some friends. You know what I mean? Like, yo, come over here. We got an issue to deal with, rather than call the police, man. Because there's been so many times that I've called the police and they came to my residence treating me like I was the criminal. You know what I mean? Asking for my ID. So, oh, we need to pat you down to make sure you don't have any weapons on you. And I'm like, "Fool, somebody broke into my house. How you gonna come over here and pat me down?" And then my neighbor, he gets it on camera. This guy breaking in and stuff. He shows the cop the video. The cop said, "Well, that kind of looks like you." This that those type of things. So it's like the cops are the last people I want to call. So those is the type of PTSD that Mo was talking about from past occurrences having to deal with these situations. So there is a level of you know of normalcy that's just abnormal for the regular human being to have to go through or have to deal with, or even for it to happen multiple times throughout your lifetime is ridiculous. For it to happen once, it's too much. But for you to go through it multiple times throughout your lifetime, man, it's crazy.
I think to experience those things just dealing with cops, but I've experienced a lot dealing with education. You know what I'm saying? And different teachers treating me different, like teachers treating me a certain way. Always just put me like to the side or treat my kids a certain way. You know what I'm saying? Like that's why I'm so happy now where I'm at now. Like my kids are in a predominantly black school, have all black teachers, and the way they're being fed and appreciated, man. To where I noticed like my older kids were in a predominantly white school, and I basically have two sets of the same kids, and I see the exact direct line by line example on this one's a genius, that one's a genius, and how they're being treated based off of certain circumstances. This one's a problem in this school. This
Just
one is
environment.
gifted.
Yep.
Yeah, based off the environment. I got one's gifted, and I got the other one. I know it's just as smart as this one, but they were a problem. They were a headache. You know what I'm saying? They just didn't like the vibe or the environment. It was a whole bunch of stuff that they're culturally not used to. You know what I'm saying? Or like they feel some type of way because like, dang, you think, and one said this to me. The oldest one said this to me, like, you think white ice is better. Not in that exact words, but and I was like, what? Nah, it's just like you always trying to put me around white people. You know what I'm saying? Opposed to putting me around even and when I tried to kind of like change the dynamic and like, well, maybe you do need, you know what I'm saying? It was too late. It was already like, you know what I'm saying? So Mo, we speak about something that all the time, but when it comes to like HBCUs and how they feel in the world based off of going to other people in the PWI and how they feel in the world, you know what I mean? So the education system and how racism plays a part, man, is I think it could be even more detrimental from even like it's just like layered on top of 10 and 2 when the cops coming past, or I don't want to call when I'm in trouble. I rather call, and I don't even live that kind of lifestyle, and you want to call streets to help you out your situation, opposed to calling the people that's supposed to be protecting and serving you. It's crazy. You know what I'm saying? It sounds crazy, but it's not. It sounds completely normal. That's all normal to do that. I'm gonna get my brother to come beat you up. I'm gonna get my cousins. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna call my people to come handle a situation for me, opposed to not getting anybody involved. You know what I'm saying? So I guess the next question would be, how does racism hold black people back nowadays in today's time? What you got, Smooth?
How does racism hold black people back? I wouldn't say they hold us back as much as they did during Jim Crow and the Civil Rights Movement. Does it still happen nowadays? Yes, it does. I think we have better opportunity now, though. We have proven ourselves that we can be just as good as our counterparts from another race. I might be going left field right here, but I think not a lot, but some black people use racism as an excuse why they can't get nowhere in life. And a lot of times I'm like, hey, you just not putting in the work. You know what I mean? But I mean, it's still there. It's. I mean, it's even affected me on my job, man. In so many words, they wouldn't say it. I'm just another nigga. But when now that, they have, I had to code switch a little bit. Now they see it ain't just, I just want another nigga, man. I use a lot of slang and I laugh a lot. You know what I'm saying? I laugh so I don't cry. But I know my job. You know what I'm saying? Hell, I know your job. You know what I mean? I can make sure everything in this company functions in the right way, right manner, and even help us excel a little bit more. But yeah, it's still there, man. I really want to know what Mo feel about it. Mo is in HR, so what's your input on that?
Yeah, this is a very loaded question for me. I always compared it to, I started out in corporate America, and then I lived, for the most part, my first half of my life in the North, and then, the second half has been in the South. I compare it to that, right? So the racism holding us back is more subtle now. I used to say, like, in the North, I was like, it's kind of covert how they will hold you back. Like, you just weren't part of the meeting where they actually made the decision. You just came to work on Monday and everything was different. You didn't realize why you was the only one that didn't get the memo. It's because you weren't invited. And I used to always say, well, when I got to the South, like, they told you, like, this ain't for you. You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of where we are in society right now when it comes to racism, right? It's more subtle, and it's more the overt stuff that's really killing us. Like, systematically, there's stuff like we talked about environment, like, by putting us in some of the worst environments, most of the people won't make it out. So that's a big part of it. Not giving them the resources, not giving them the right food, not giving them the right education. Like, those type of things, like, they push you they funnel you into the direction of the least successful, right? I don't think it's a coincidence that we're at the bottom of a lot of these categories, because it was designed that way, right? However, to Smooth's point, he's absolutely right. A lot of our, and I hate to say our, but a lot of our habits, a lot of our mindsets are not conducive to being successful, and breaking through whatever little, barriers there are. And I always remember, I dated a girl one time, and she literally said she didn't believe in racism. This was a black woman. And I said, what do you mean you don't believe in it? And I was like, just because you choose not to look at the weather forecast don't mean you shouldn't take an umbrella. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, just because you choose to not look at it doesn't mean it's not there, right? But at the time, she was curated in a environment that she was insulated from the BS, right? And I always told her, I was like, hey, stay tuned. I was like, keep living. You know what I mean? And I remember the moment she got outside of that bubble, it was like the world was caving in on her. She was like, yo, like, man, I can't do nothing right. They feel like I'm, I don't speak how they wanted me to speak. And like, I remember one time she said, like, they were like, let's say they were in a meeting and she said something like, yeah, this is what we're going to do, blah, blah, blah. And they were like, and her manager, a white manager, came and was like, oh, what she's trying to say was like where English is a second language, like this is my language just as much as it is yours. And I can communicate and articulate myself just as well as you can. But the fact that you felt the need to translate for me is kind of our reality in this world or in this society. And that's where those kind of confirmation biases, and that's where that stuff kind of, man, it really, not only that, man, it messes with our confidence. If I had to guess, man, 75%, John Hope Bryant says, he says like 80% of black folks, he feels they probably have confidence or self-esteem issues because of the way we've been kind of conditioned and beat down in this society.
You said 80%?
Yeah, that's what he believes. Yeah, that's tough. But yeah, that's what he says, man. John Hope Bryant, man. He's a deep brother.
That's a lot, man.
A whole lot.
That's a lot.
Leifer, you go ahead and chime in, man. I don't know what Vic got going on, man. You go ahead and chime in.
So I think you know, as Mo was alluding to, racism is embedded into the DNA and the fabric of um, the United States, man. Literally, and we talked about this many a times, but when you when you create a system and you automatically disenfranchise a specific group, and then because one of the arguments that I often hear from a lot of people when it comes to this topic or similar topics is like, well, what rights or what rights uh don't African Americans have right now, or what rights are different or that hold them or that's holding them back, or what laws are in place now that that hold them back. And I said, well, it's not, and I always think like it's not necessarily the laws or things in place now. It's literally if you were to and keep somebody hostage in your basement for 20 years, you know, they were in, you put them in there when they were kids. They grew up in your basement, and then 20 years later, you just release them into the wild and said, figure it out. They don't have any resources, they don't know anybody, they have nothing. And that's literally the situation for most blacks in America. You know what I mean? Passed down through these generational traumas. When they first got out of slavery, they were literally, now they might have had some skills to pay the bills, but you can't do it if you can't get hired. And you can't get hired because if you don't have a place to live or you don't have a job, you guess what? You get sold back into slavery. So there's all these these circumstances that kind of pushed it back. This stuff is woven into the fabric of our society. Now, with that being said, there's opportunities um, for people of color, for black people, for women to make something of themselves in this world. However, there's usually that glass ceiling. You know what I mean? In a lot of these spaces where they only gonna let you get so high. You know what I mean? Before they start, looking at you as a threat or looking at you as some severe competition where now they gotta, they're trying to weed you out. They're trying to get you out of here because you pose a threat to, to what they're trying to do. So, there's little subtle pieces in there. And then outside of the racism, you also have to deal with the culture differences, and you have to deal with whether you are a good fit for the environment of the job or where the job's trying to go or where the company's trying to go. So not only do you have to deal with racism, you have to deal with the culture shifts in there, and you got to deal with whether your personality matches with everybody else in the office. So with all those combined, there's your Captain Planet. You can literally X your way out of a job just by being black. You know what I mean? Because you don't necessarily, especially if you're coming from an urban environment, you don't necessarily mess with people from these rural areas or who grew up in the suburbs, and they don't really understand your slang or your lingo or your mannerisms or the way that we say certain things. We're speaking the English language, but certain things we say might not mean what you know it to mean where you're from. You know what I mean? So it could be something serious. Like I think one time there was somebody, I don't know, somewhere, we were having a conversation and we were talking about video games or something like that. And I think I lost. I think I might have lost or something in first round. I don't know what it was back in the day. And I said, "Oh man, I'm gonna kill you." And homie took it seriously, like, "What? Are you threatening me?" And I was like, "Nah, just I'm gonna kill you." Like in the game, I'm a beat. But he took it like I was saying, like I was gonna kill him because I lost. You know what I mean? And it's like the way that we talk here and we got the way of speaking here ain't necessarily the way that people speak from somewhere else. So there's always, just differences in phraseologies and things like that you have to deal with in these environments.
That right there, that prime example, it got me put in the Schumann Center by playing around with a white person is saying, I'm gonna get you, you know what I'm saying? I'm just playing. Even my humor, I realize I guess I have a dark humor. I don't think what any of you guys, I asked you guys that before, like, do y'all think I got a dark humor? And y'all like, nah, not really. But in other environments, I guess my humor is pretty dark. Me saying, you know, we used to like Mo said, we would joke on each other, or you know what I'm saying, like if we agreed each other, like, what's up, punk mother? You know what I'm saying? It's kind of like a, you know what I'm saying, like, I'll splow you, like, I'll, you know what I mean, like I'll lock it up with, like, there's all kind of stuff we use in a violent manner. It's, you know, it's bad. It's bad meaning good, but not, you know what I mean? We do that stuff all the time, and it gets mistaken, like, especially like now that I'm in the suburbs. It gets like in this, I'm talking about in family, like friendly environments where I'm not even in work, it gets me in trouble.
But ain't that how homies talk to each other though?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Homies generally talk to each other like that. But me thinking that somebody's my homie, y'all don't know if y'all remember. I mean, I know y'all do remember Broadnax. He was like, "They are not your day ones for you to be talking to them like that. Stop trying to treat them that way."
So, and you're right. So, and that was one of the things that I was gonna say. A lot of times, man, it like, even though you're in concert with them, doesn't mean you're really with them, right? So, and you know, I've kind of seen it both ways, and I believe Leifer was probably, you know, similar. Like, I've seen it both. I've been, you know, I went to Lean On Me school, and I went to some of the better schools, right? And one of the things that, like, and I don't think it's better or worse, it's just different. Like, the same way that, like, in the hood school, we talking about locking it up or whatever. Like, I remember at the white school, I remember they was hitting each other in the balls. And I was like, yo, this is weird. Like, no, you can't do that to me. So it's just different. And when you grow up, that's when they talk about a fit interview. And to me, that's a dog whistle to me. Like, I remember years ago, and Vic, you probably remember this. I remember I was just getting to corporate America, and I was about to get married, and I was trying to get the preacher's son who was getting me married a job, right? This dude was an engineer, student, whatever. So I get him all the way, you know, I finally get him some FaceTime to where he actually interviewed or whatever. And this was just an entry-level job. And I always remember this white man that had no education came back to me because I followed up because he hadn't heard anything. And he said, well, he wasn't a good fit. And I was like, wasn't a good fit? How would an engineer not be a good fit as an entry-level retail manager? I was like, and I pressed him on it, and it became an issue, but I pressed him. And I was like, well, what is it that makes him a bad fit? You know what I mean? Like those are real questions, right? And sometimes it gets uncomfortable, and sometimes it gets to a point to where you have to call them out on their BS, but you have to get to a point to where you have to build a good enough mousetrap in your life to where you don't want to cut your nose off to spite your face trying to fight for the cause and be a martyr. But I remember I pressed the guy on it, and I was like, hey, well, you got to tell me how this kid who, you know, graduated top third of his class with an engineering degree is not a good fit to be a entry-level retail manager. Well, we hire folks out of trade schools or trade courses that didn't even get a certificate for this job. I was like, so what exactly are we saying about a fit other than this kid looks like me? And I did that job, and I know he would be successful at it. And that's
what made you different? What made
exactly
you
right? And that was always kind of the rub, right? Like, and I remember I was.
What made you different?
That's what I'm saying. One, I know how to play the game. I just knew how to play the game, right? So, but here's the thing: knowing how to play the game or code switch, whatever you want to call it, just because you couldn't do that doesn't mean that you don't deserve the opportunity.
Right.
So that's why the fact that I was good at it and I was savvy enough to play that game, I would always, in my mind, especially if I was the first to do it or one of the first, I was like, yo, I want to leave a good enough impression of where I won't be the last to look like me to be able to get this opportunity. So if anything, like the gap is, I'm hoping it's better after I was there. So the gap is, they have more of a leash to be like, I'll try one of them that's different than me. You know what I mean? Like one of the things that I always say, in corporate America, it blows my mind. Like, I don't know how many white dudes, like we call them John. And I'm like, and you go and look in their name ain't John. Like, I'll be like, yo, what is going on? Like, oh, well, call me John. And I'm like, yo, but your name's Ryan. Like, but I go by John. And I'm like those, like,
is that them
those
code switching?
I don't know, like, but those type of things where like always things that kind of like was weird to me, and because of that, I would always try to like reach one, teach one, or I would like if I saw somebody younger than me that looked like me, I'll be like, hey, look, this was going on. This is what you need to do. Hey, stay away from this type of thing because this is what's going to happen with you. Because I knew there was some of those things that they weren't going to be able to explain, but it was going to keep you from an opportunity.
One thing, I think the question was, how does racism prevent us? Today, one thing I realized is we won't even try in fear of the racism. Like, as far as, I'm not applying to that job, they don't like black people up there anyway. I'm not going to that school, they don't like black people up there anyway. I'm not going to play for that team. Like, it'd be a real opportunity. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do that. You know, they don't want black people up there. You know, the white people ain't going to let us do this. You know, the white people not going to let us. Like, it's like they have this imaginary force field on some of us to be like, oh, I can't succeed because they're not going to let us. You know what I'm saying? I think I was on another pod and he was mentioning something. We was talking about jobs and he was mentioning like, yo, yeah, 80% of 80% of hires are from your network anyway. And I'm like, don't put that out there. Like, even if that might be true, I don't think that's a valid point to put out there because that deters people from actually going for the position in the first place. I mean, the world going to give you your answer. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, don't stop me from going it because you might get lucky. I lived a whole life of getting lucky. You know what I'm saying? So
hold on, Vic.
But no, you wasn't. Nope.
I don't believe in luck, dog.
Thank you.
I don't believe in luck. I believe in God and grinding. You know what I'm saying? You pray for what you want and you work hard to get what you get. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in luck. Everything you got, you earned it.
And you're 100% right. I was actually going to push back on him because I got to see this whole movie. Trust me, wasn't nothing luck about that. Like, yo, like you snuck in the party. You know what I mean? You snuck in the party, did what you had to do, you know, to make yourself be able to be there. Like you got the credential. Like, no, wasn't nothing luck. Like you did it the hard way. Like you came in through the back door and got to where you are. So it wasn't luck. It was understanding that this is a game. You decided to play it and you played it, like you didn't have the same path as kind of the normal person that might have had your credentials. But with that being said, you understood the assignment because you kind of had, kind of the life experiences that it's never going to be easy. Like everybody can tell me no. Generally, there's only a couple people that can tell me yes. I'm just going to keep going until I find that yes. And that's that grit and that mental toughness that, you were trained up with coming from where you came from wasn't going to allow you to go through all that and then not get what get what you came for. So by no means is it luck. And I hear that a lot. Like I actually saw some interns today and it was a little disheartening, but I understood it in that there were three of them. It was three interns from Georgia Tech. It was two white boys and it was one black girl. And I know she didn't want to speak to me. Like, it was kind of like, hey, like, you know what I mean? Like, hey, how you doing? So what I did to make her, and it wasn't to make her feel comfortable, but it was just I spoke to the other two first. It was like, hey, so what y'all got going on? Okay, like, I'm such and such, and this is what I do, and this is what I'm over.
Did you drop the bell when you spoke to them?
Yeah. Like I was me.
Okay, yeah. That's why I thought you was going. Yeah.
Yep, and I was me. I was my authentic self. And I've always kind of did that, but I just noticed that it was needed.
You had to
because
show her that
she
you
didn't
could
even
be
feel
you.
comfortable in her own skin at the moment.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, what's going on? Matter of fact, I think I was like, hey, what's going on? I was like, what's going on, gentlemen? And they were like, oh, hey, how you doing? You know, all that or whatever. And I was like, hey, man, what y'all here for? They were like, oh, we're interns, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, oh, yeah, what group, you know, y'all dealing with or whatever. And I was like, hey, like, and I did it for her. Like, hey, you're good enough as is. Like, don't feel you have to conform. You know what I mean? Like, obviously there's social norms and, you know, you have to operate within it, but don't lose who you are for this.
What if she was faking herself for so long that and then finally seeing you do what you do and like, dang, I did all that faking for nothing.
Okay.
That'll be so disheartening.
No. Okay. Like, and I'll tell you why, because I remember back in the day, I remember coming from work and I would be exhausted because it felt like I was in character all day. It was never because my job was so hard. It was because I felt like I was in character all day. Like, I felt like I was Denzel Washington acting all day.
Yeah.
And then I would come home and be like, man, I'm exhausted mentally.
Yeah.
And I've never had anything but a desk job. So it wasn't like I was Paul Bunyan cutting down logs. Like, but I was physically and mentally exhausted from acting all day and being in character. And that's a tough axe to, you know, that's a tough cross to bear for 2,080 hours a year. You know what I mean?
That goes to the next question, but Leifer, you got something you want to add?
No, go to the next question, man. I did, but I forgot what I was going to say. Listening to Mo.
Do you feel you have to represent for your race? What you got, Smooth?
Sad to say, but sometimes I do. I feel like I got to.
When I say represent, I mean be the sole. Do you feel like you got to be like Martin Luther King?
Yeah, man. I can't remember which one of the speakers. I don't want to say speakers. One of the guys I listened to said this: regardless of what we do, no matter like how great we are, positive we are, negative they are, they look at us like we one big nigga. You know what I'm saying? And like me, it's just I take me in my job, right? They look at me like I'm the middleman. I'm on the verge of going to management. You know what I'm saying? I get to hang with the supervisors, the managers, the GM know me by name. You know what I'm saying? We got the low lives at the job. You know what I'm saying? We got the real fresh. We got the temps. I'm cool with all them. I'm cool with everybody. You know what I'm saying? I'm like the one that talk to upper management and run to the low lives like, hey, dog, this what's going on because you know your name keep coming up. You need to straighten that out. This, that, and third. And I'm the one that they don't look at with the side eye. You know what I'm saying? Some people they's like, oh, he's selling out. James don't sell out. James just cool like that. He cool with everybody. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's like there have been guys that at my job that I've just came across with conversation with, and upper management has seen me conversing with these people. They fuck up. They don't go talk to them. They come talk to me. And these guys are working in my department. You know what I'm saying? We aren't on the same shift, but I'm the one that got to go straighten this out. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I do feel like, yeah, you know, they look at us like we just one big nigga. You know what I'm saying? I represent the whole thing. Because honestly, when I do things, man, when I try to do something positive, man, that make for notoriety, man, I do it for three people. I do it for my last name, because my daddy told me to carry that name well. You know what I'm saying? And I do it for my black community. Not so more for me. And I want something for my son to see, you know, leave my son something. My daddy had a legacy, whatever. Now, Leifer, you didn't comment on Mo, so it's on you.
You know what? This is a good question, man. Yes and no. So in certain spaces, man, where you know, one, I think I don't. I always feel like I can move in any circle, man. I can walk in any room, and I always feel like I belong there. Now, whether if somebody wants me there, that's a whole nother question. So I don't. I try not to worry about that. I feel like I belong in every room I walk in. Uh, Now, with that being said, there are times where I'm like, especially when I look around and I look in these certain spaces, and I might be, I might be in the leadership group or something like that, or I might be on a board, or whatever it may be. Um, I'm like, I'm the only black guy in here. I'm the only black person in here. I'm the only black person on the job. And, in that regard, I'm like, man, I need to be on my P's and Q's, because what I need to do is I need to be able to bring some people. I need to be able to, bring some other people in here. And I want them to see how I am, and see what my work ethic and my work style is like. So when other people come in, that look like me, they don't have an adverse um, idea of them, because in a lot of these circles, man, some of these people, especially living where I'm at now, a lot of these people that I'm meeting and I'm encountering, they're from the middle of Amish Pennsylvania. They don't know that many black people. They never encountered them, don't see them. The only black people they know is from TV. So I might be the first representation of somebody black or of color who they actually see, or somebody, maybe they known a person of color that grew up near and around Amish, but didn't grow up, in any urban environment and has no attachment to it. So when they see me, it's a whole different story. So in that regard, I do feel like I have to, put on a rep for the whole race in order to, to bring some more people who look like me in and on board. But then also, okay, I'll move, son. Relax. But then also, to make sure that I'm putting my best foot forward, so that once I go, they have no problem bringing somebody else in there that looks like me, because they know that we have the aptitude to do the work.
Hey, hold on. Let me add on to that, because Mo kind of said the same thing. When they let y'all in, do y'all go back and do y'all mentor or groom the next person that might be coming behind y'all?
Every time. I've been burned more times than Freddy Krueger, but yes, every time I always go back and try to grab somebody.
Okay.
Multiple people.
Okay.
So funny story. So let me make sure I answer the question for you. What was the question?
Do you feel you have to?
No, not do you feel, but Leafa said kind of the same thing. You said, like, when y'all get to y'all like maybe the first one through that door. Do you go back? Do you grab somebody? Do you mentor that next person? Do you
That's the second question. The first question is, do you got to feel you have to represent the entire race?
So absolutely. Especially in a lot of, at the level that I'm at, a lot of times I am the only. So the fact, like, I remember I was in aviation, right? And I was managing this airport. And I remember all the black people, like, it was kind of 50-50, black and whites. And I remember the black people, there was a rumor that I had an uncle who used to golf with the CEO of the company, and that's how I got the job. So it wasn't until they realized I was cool to where they actually had this conversation with me and was like, yeah, so did you ever get to go golfing with them? And I'm like, golfing with who? Look, y'all know I ain't got no uncle to go golfing with no CEO or nothing. So, and I was like, well, no, man, it doesn't got nothing to do with that. I was like, one, how I got the job is I applied, but two, I was qualified, and three, I was actually overqualified. And I had to do this to get in the door to get where I really wanted to be. And to Smooth's point, that's exactly me giving them that perspective in the why, is me giving them, like, I don't even call it hope, but like, you can do it too. I'm not special. You know what I mean? Like, I used to tell folks, I was like, yo, whether y'all know it or not, I was y'all, maybe even a little bit worse. But I just, I made a choice to do something different. And sometimes just that in itself is more impactful, is that, I can do it too, versus, just being like, because I believe, especially in corporate America, black folks got way too many mentors. we need some folks that's actually going to say your name in the room when you're not there. Like that's you know, it's going to sound weird, but what we call it is you need a rabbi. Like we be so quick to be like, oh, well, have you tried getting a mentor yet? And I remember early in my career, I fell into that trap, and he's like, oh, do this and read this book and do, you know what I mean? I'm doing all that. But then when it comes time to actually go and be part of maybe that person's team for a promotion, they be like, you know, I can't really, because I'm like, you're literally my mentor. So, but also one of the things, and that's another thing that you have to kind of think about when it comes to your blackness. Like sometimes the people that are in position, they don't want to be the only ninja that's in position. You know what I mean? Like I've come across that too. And I always told myself, I was very early in my career, and I told myself, I'll never be that. I'll never be the one that's going to gatekeep folks that don't have the information or don't have that opportunity. If you're capable of it, I'm going to make sure you get your chance. And then if you know, what you do with it is up to you. But that's the biggest thing is I want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to change their life. And so just more than being a mentor or reaching back, like I'll go and meet them where they are. And I'll be like, yo, listen, what I'm seeing, this is just my perspective. This is how you would, I don't even know. Actually, let me back up. First, I asked them, what is it that you want? That's the first thing. What is it that you want out of this? Like, if you were independently wealthy, I would imagine you wouldn't be coming in here and clocking in every day. So what is it that you want out of life and in this opportunity? Well, I was hoping to get promoted. Da, da, da. All right, well, look, if you want to get promoted, there's a couple things that I noticed that you're going to need to do. One, you can't come in here smelling like that Loud Pack. How about that? You know what I mean? Like you need to, matter of fact, I remember somebody told me one time, they was like, yo, you speak to everybody but the people who are important. That was the wildest thing I ever heard. I was like, what do you mean? They were like, yo, you'll dap up the janitor. You'll dap up the security, even though you're way above them. But like you decide the dude who's like the standoffish CEO or whatever, like you'll just ignore him. And they're like, well, aren't you going to play the game? And I was like, I get it. So I am more intentional to approach everybody. And so I teach a class and it speaks to this. It's called the strength and weakness trick. And they're very good at this in corporate America. So whatever your strengths are, the inversion of it is your weakness. So like, for example, one of my superpowers is I'm very relatable. I'm good at building relationships and I'm good at being analytical. I can take a subject, I can analyze it, and I can simplify the complicated, and I can explain it in a simplified manner. What I've been told, I remember early in my career, even recently, I remember somebody said this, but they're still trying to figure me out. And they were like, well, maybe you're too analytical. Like we need to just make a decision quick. And then I was like, sometimes, you know, and sometimes if you make a decision too quick, you don't get buy-in, so it doesn't actually hold. You know what I mean? Like, so they're thinking like they're looking at me from an analyst, and I was like, yo, I used to hire analysts that hire analysts. Like, I was like, so, but I was like, just because I'm here doesn't mean that that's where I've always been. And the biggest thing is to kind of understand, like they call it stepping back and backing up the lens to be able to see it from a 40,000 foot view and to see kind of the forest from the trees. And that's the biggest thing that I think that sometimes we never even get the opportunity as people of color, and not even to say people of color, as black people in corporate America. A lot of times we don't get to see that. Like we get to be subject matter experts in this. We're the widget expert. Like, okay, what else? How does that widget work into everything else? And how do you understand, okay, well, that widget costs 50 cents, but we sell it for, you know, $2. And then where does that other $1.50 go? Like, they'll never teach us that. I remember back when I was really, really into my knowledge, Minister Farrakhan said that. He was like, yo, we got a lot of educated black folks, but they don't know the stuff that they need to know. He was like, they're always going to teach you the science of accounting, the science of biology, but they're never going to teach you the science of capitalism and the science of power, the science of mating. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that's really going to transcend you and the stuff that's going to put you on par with anybody. They're never going to teach you that. So you have to teach yourself, and you have to be willing to find that knowledge in different ways because they're never going to give it to you.
Um, as I answer the question, I feel the same way. Yes, I do feel like I have to represent for my entire race, but it's not. It's not in business or in the corporate world. It's in fatherhood. Um, that's kind of where I take my stance at, is in trying to make sure I like super dad everywhere I go. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm out here on, on a youth, I don't know. I don't want to call it a ministry, or I don't know what I'm calling it, but I spend most of my time in youth sports or in some type of mentorship, not necessarily on the business side. I think I'd rather get paid to be a youth coach. If I had my way in life, I'm probably going to be that 67-year-old guy who still is coaching, assistant coaching football, or something weird like that. You know what I'm saying? Even with no kids on the team. Um, but yeah, and that's my way of being the, Dr. Berkeley, you know what I'm saying, in my life. But yeah, just I feel like I always like, I don't want to say I parade my kids around, but it's kind of like I make sure we go to certain places, like nice places. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, let's go be the best black family they've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like that's how I put on, is by being like the best black representation of a family. You know what I'm saying? Of a father. You know what I'm saying? Having my kids make sure that they show their best selves, and it's not necessarily in the manner of, hey, I want y'all to fake or front. No, this is really who we are. We are really good people. You know what I'm saying? And we care about our family. We care about our kids. We raise our kids. We love our kids. We protect our kids. You know what I'm saying? We want the best for ours as well. You know what I'm saying? So that's kind of where I take my stance on representing for the entire race. What you got, Lee? You look like you want to say something.
No, I just got my son up here spending some time with me, so I'm dealing with him over here. But um, no, I'm just thinking about you know everything everybody's saying in these terms, man, and it's uh it's crazy to think that you have to that we even think in any space, time in our lives at all that we have to represent for our whole race. That is crazy to think that that there's just so few of us in a lot of these spaces that we have to feel like we need to represent and put on for our whole race. It's crazy, man. But the smooth question, you know, I don't oftentimes get to mentor adults in what I do. Like I partner with a lot of different adults and different companies and different organizations, but I have mentored a lot of kids, man, from in like high school kids. So that was one of the things I did when I became management in the company years ago. Is I decided that as a company we would partner with one of the high schools who did these internship slash mentorship things with the high school kids, and I would teach them different skills. And I had I had mostly I had boys, young men, but I the last one I had two young ladies, and that was crazy because I was really afraid of that scenario because I was like, I don't know if I'm the right voice that they should be hearing you know what I mean, at this space in their life or whatever, or the things that I could teach them about the way that I see things in the world and stuff. But man, it was a really good experience, man. And just them seeing me like for a long time, man, I feel like I was probably the only person of color. No, I was the only black person for sure, but there might have been maybe an Indian um, or somebody um, um, in a different department, but they weren't in my department. So, you know, just them being able to see me in that role in this space, being able to be professional, but also be myself, I think it helped them a lot in terms of the way that they see the world and being able to see. what they could do, because I know a few of them were just, they didn't know what they wanted to do after high school. Some of them was like, I'll probably be a garbage man. I'll probably be a fighter because my dad's a fighter. I'll do this. And I'm like, you can be whatever you want to be. You know what I mean? You make a decision, you write, you get it, you make a goal, you create a plan, and you see it through, So a lot of them are doing really well. So that's one of the ways that I try to give back. I try to mentor and try to show them this different side, man. But anytime I get, man, and I meet a lot of people, I try to usher them in, and even if it's not in my company specifically, man, when I see other opportunities and other companies that I'm partnered with, man, I try to bring them into the fold, man, because like I said, man, there's not a lot of us in some of these spaces, man, and they need our voices.
Man, I would like to keep y'all for an hour. Yeah, but we've been going in. What you feeding yourself with, Smooth? What you listening to? What you reading? What you watching?
I'm ashamed to say this. One of my partners gave me this book, and I just started reading it. Dog, I don't know the name of this book. I just read 2 chapters every night, and I don't know the name of it. I'm listening to, of course, I'm listening to Don Tripp, man. And, he had one hell of a run for the last 2 years, man, and I'm still a part of it, man. And that's it, man.
What you got, Mo?
Oh, hey, Mo.
Yeah, go ahead.
I ain't seen you in a minute. You lost weight?
Man, I've been on it, man. I'm down about 15 to 17, man. Had a little bit of a health scare, man. So I'm trying to get right, man. I'm trying to be around. So
yeah,
stay tuned.
I ain't seen you since
stay
the
tuned, bro.
Party, man, but you look lighter.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, stay tuned. So a couple things. So and these are books that, man, I just actually want to shed light on them. I've read them previously. I always talk about Dr. Claude Anderson, who is he was the author of Powernomics, but this is another book that was really dope. And it's kind of spoke to that dynamic of corporate America and your role in capitalism stuff. It's called Black Labor, White Wealth by Dr. Claude Anderson. That was a really good book to help me kind of understand my place, and that can form that confirmation that goes on in there. And then also this is from a dude by the name of Rob Wilson. It's actually from Pittsburgh, financial advisor, man. It's called Secure the Bag. I learned a lot about that, about my own finances and how I put myself in the right positions in the right place once I got myself out of survival mode. So those are kind of the two towers that I thought were most important right now in today's society for what we got going on, man. Understanding you're enough, and then how you can secure yourself financially, just in case something drastically changes. So those are the two tenets and two towers that I'm really focusing on for myself and for people in my circle right now.
Leifer.
Yeah, I think the last time we was on, man, I was talking about this this book we were kind of reading together at my job. I believe it's called Begin with We. But in addition to that, man, I've been on like I told you I'd be on my Bible app, every single day, doing my little daily devotional. But now I'm doing like these weekly, devotional plans or whatever. So one of them, man, and it's funny that we're talking about this now, but we're talking about certain these things now. But one of them is about being a light in the workplace. So I think that goes a lot into what we were talking about is mentoring and pulling people up and bringing people in and kind of showing them how to be yourself, but then also, showing them how to play the game. So.
I'm knee deep in teaching 7 to 8 year olds how to be the best baseball players of their lives. That's all I'm doing. I don't know if I always wonder. Leifer gets to see like the back end stuff, so I don't know if stuff is popping up in his email of baseballers everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, I'm just deep in the, getting these kids together, man. So all I am.
Yeah, I heard you tell some poor little kid that they throw was terrible. I saw one of them doing a throw. He was trying to throw it. I think he was left hand guy. He threw
Yeah,
that ball right into the gate. He like, "Yeah, that throw was terrible."
I'm trying. I'm trying to be, love them, but be honest at the same time.
No, but then there was also positive reinforcement when the other guy threw him the ball. He was able to get to catch that ball and everything, and he was like, "Yay, I did it!" So it was a cool full circle moment.
Yeah. So no, that's all I'm feeding myself. What you got to say
Hey,
something? Mo?
before we go, I'm curious. So you said you're knee deep in that. Because I know it translates, but do you know what of these skills that you're teaching them, how it translates into life lessons and stuff that's gonna propel them in stuff outside of sports?
Perseverance, man, and love, and being. My thing about all the team sports. I'm a huge team sport guy, and I believe in it to the life, to the death of me, or I don't want to say the death of me, but I believe in it so deeply. But it does not help you in corporate America, not even a little bit, man. And
mental toughness does a little bit.
Mental toughness does, yes. But as far as like being a team guy and working with your family, that types of stuff, like corporate is so uninviting, man.
It'll help you with that competitive vibe in there, because even though you're on the same team, you're always competing. Somebody's trying to get the same job you're trying to get or whatever. So it'll help you with that. But as far as the team thing, man,
it's done. It's you get a way of love even in that competition. Opposed, like it's different between competing with your brother and we're playing 1-on-1 and before dinner. You know what I'm saying? I beat you, you beat me, maybe that day or whatever, and we went hard, but then we go in and eat together. In corporate America, man, like there's some backbiting, dirty hate. You know what I'm saying? Sneaky.
But Vic, could that just be the field that you're in?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, because okay, you in IT, right?
Yeah.
I'm in logistics. You know what I'm saying? I think logistics is a team sport. I kind of call the shots where I'm at, but I mean, my whole team need to work together in order to make these trucks, make sure these trucks on the road, make sure where they need to be at, where they coming from, you know what I'm saying, get loaded. It's a team sport. One person can't do it.
One person can't do can't do development either. You know what I'm saying? But it's a lot of throwing under the bus. It's a lot of I did my little part, you know what I'm saying? Or I did it the way I thought it was best, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what he was doing type, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of backbiting, and you know what I'm saying, especially when they don't really want you there. You know what I'm saying?
So you do all that working out for what? Just to be big? You don't flex your muscle around the office?
You say just fun muscles.
I haven't seen a coworker in 6 years.
Oh, snaps. Oh, that's what it is. hey, you need to get on Zoom, man. Let them see you got there. Just
ever since I've been working, I guess I'm not allowed to say that, but ever since I've been working, like we don't show our face. Like it's never a cam up. I don't even know what these people look like. They don't know what I look like. Like it's crazy. I just know voices.
So Smooth, there's a reason I asked that, right? So because I knew this is what was going to come up. It does. There's a correlation, right? And I remember when I made that correlation. So a lot of the stuff, specifically like in college athletics that we saw, that's the exact same, that same cutthroat, that same, like, I don't like how this makes me feel. I learned that playing college sports, and I transitioned that into corporate America, and that's how I understood it, and that's how I got it.
It's because it's not fun anymore. It's a business. Yeah, that's when you realize sports is a business. Yeah,
and because I remember I had that same feeling at the end of college athletics, and I was like, "Yo, this turned into a job." I didn't want to do it no more. But then once I, soon thereafter, I got into a job, and I was like, "Oh, this is the same thing," and it was the same thing. Like the guy that had all the charisma wasn't necessarily the best, was getting the best outcomes, and I was like, It's about relationship building. It's about networking. Okay. Just being the best worker bee gets you more work. That's all it gets you. So you have to. So and I'll
Does
leave y'all with
charisma
this.
help you in business when
Absolutely.
when you're not them though?
You have to find.
Think
So,
about
like, for example,
think about it. Think about who I'm surrounded by.
Yep.
My charisma doesn't help me not a little bit.
Well, you got to improve. Like, you're gonna have to improve your.
But do you understand?
Yeah.
Like I'm not a nerd. You know what I'm saying? So me having charisma is actually against anything, because if I'm not talking about Star Wars, like, you know what I'm saying?
You play video games, man. You play video games.
You say you're not a nerd?
Only the black people.
I mean,
he's a blurred.
No, I'm not actually. No, I'm not even a black nerd. I don't even fit in that community.
You a nerd, man. But I mean, it ain't. But not you.
To a bunch of savage ass motherfuckers like us. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you will call me a nerd, a geek.
No,
I get
but
it.
you the new nerd. The new nerds are they the cool kid. They the cool cats,
Nah,
man.
bro.
Not the old school.
Nerds, you ain't been to a tech event?
It's cool to be smart. But
shout out.
It's cool to be smart. But one of the things that I think, and I've been trying to drive this point home with you for years, you have to find a way to build a bridge. And it's about what the commonalities. You'll do much better with finding what's common, a common thread between y'all, and drawing on that, versus always allowing them to be able to draw a line in the sand for those differences. And that I always talk about that was my superpower. When I didn't know what I was doing, I would just find those commonalities. We would talk about sports, and they'd be like, "Yo, you play college ball," or whatever. Or hell, you ever seen Friends? Yo, I've literally never watched a whole episode of Friends, and they bring it all the time. They would bring it up all the time. Back, I guess this is back when it was on TV. All I knew was there was a scene where dude said, "No soup for you." That's all I knew. Yo, I said, they'd be like, "Oh."
Hey, that ain't friends. That's
Seinfeld. That's Seinfeld.
Like, I've never watched either one of them shows, and I would do that. They'd be like, you know what I mean? And, you know, man, shout out to Hitman. He saw it, man. You gotta know how to run your play, man. I used to run my play, man, and make it work for me. So it's a game. Make sure you play in the game.
You know,
get what you want out of this thing.
Even if I do find athletic nerds or whatever, they play games like volleyball and tennis. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's wild. It's wild. Cross country.
I know.
Like, it's really wild that I can't really. There's nobody relatable. I just recently have a coworker who also played baseball, and I was like, dang, like, you play baseball? That's the first ever in my. You know what I mean?
This is what you need. 48 Laws of Power.
Yeah.
Read that.
So yeah, it's different. It's different. It's not like, you know, in the world. Yes, I'm very charismatic. In IT, I'm not charismatic at all. They're like, oh, who's this suave guy over here? Who's the muscle man over here? Like, they're all scrawny or they're out of shape. Who's the muscle man over here? Who's the guy with no neck? Like,
no,
you know,
they can't see you. They can't see you, so they can't hold that against you.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about at the tech conference. At the in like a tech conference.
Yeah, I'm talking about in your career. So now they can't hold that against you because they can't see you anymore.
Yeah.
So find a way to bridge that gap and get a common thread. And like I said, that book, 48 Laws of Power, use some of those tenets, and I think it'll help you.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, that's another prototype dad, man. I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Smooth, man. You got to come back a lot more often, dog. Miss you.
Hey,
definitely, broski.
I be working a lot, man. I be trying to get with y'all, man, but then I come home and got to deal with kids, man. And
you got adults.
They almost, but my daughter's singing, man. We getting ready for prom and all this type of stuff, man. Dollars, she getting ready to go to college, and I ain't really. Mo, I appreciate the stuff you sent me for the scholarships and stuff like that.
Definitely.
Man. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Yeah.
See how we do? We network.
Matter of fact, Leifer, I'll send it to you too. I forgot you got. Yeah, I'll send it to you too.
Bet. And Mo, Smooth, man. Me and my wife, we be praying for you, man. So Hope your health is a little
Hey,
better.
you know, I know it had to be just more than my people around me praying for me, man. 'Cause, man, I came by this thing stronger than ever, dog. You know what I'm saying? Man, hey,
Hey, I set them up for you, man. Look,
I
man.
mean-
I think my wife Haitian or something, man. I think she didn't, we be throwing them up there for you, man. You get that little black magic, man, on your side.
that little situation scared me, and I had to go through it. Like I told my older sister, she went through it like the year before me, and I was like, "Hey, man, I came out of like unscathed, and dog, that shit scared. It scared me the way I came out of it. You know what I'm saying? Because I dealt with it like it wasn't nothing. You know what I'm saying? But I guess that's who I am. Who I'm supposed to be, man.
Yeah.
And it makes me think. Like I said, I lost my best boy, my best friend 2 years ago, and all of a sudden, and I went through this, and I came out of this. And I'm still, that's one thing that got me stressed out too. I'm trying to figure out why I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Like I know he ain't just
Survivor's
spared me.
remorse.
Huh?
Survivor's remorse.
Yeah, but I know God ain't spared me just for the hell of it. You know what I'm saying? It's something I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm trying to figure that out. And when I do, which I know is probably, you know what I'm saying, open up a strip club. I mean, I'm gonna give y'all
Oh man, hey Smooth, I'm gonna call you tomorrow, bro.
Hey, for sure.
All right, y'all.
All right.
Wow.
Yeah.